Hello and welcome. I'm so excited you're here. We are going to break down what the heck human design is and what role does it play in your business for you today. This is an intro video. Feel free to watch it over and over, share with people that it may resonate with. This is what is human design? Is the answer to the question, what is human design, which is definitely the number one question I get asked. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and take you through a lovely presentation so that I don't get way off track and go down 72 million rabbit holes, which it's so freaking easy to do with this subject matter. So really what I love to look at human design from the angle of is how do you live in your purpose without feeling pressured to build your business the way that everyone else is? And that's really the way and the lens that I look at human design through as an entrepreneur, as someone who tried to build their business the way that everybody else told them to, followed the processes and made myself wrong and bad for not succeeding in their methodology, learned my human design, matched business principles with human design system knowledge, and really created a flourishing business from that place. So let's just dive right in. So this training is for coaches or course creators who want to attract their soulmate clients. You can actually feel your purpose-driven programs. Honestly, this intro is helpful for most people that don't know what human design is, but this is really who I work with and for. So it's going to have a little bit of an entrepreneurial twist, especially for coaches and course creators, because we're creating content based on what our purpose is, right? So you probably are in two different places if you're here watching this. One is you want to build programs based on your authentic self, your alignment, and your purpose. So you want to create and sell offers that are based on what you're here to do in the world, right? And the other is you want to stop looking around your industry and thinking, why is that person successful and why am I not successful? Or why am I not in the place that someone in my industry is? Like, why are they seeing so much success with this program that I took and I'm not, right? Like, it's these conversations of like, what's wrong with me? But actually nothing is wrong with you. And you're designed to do things in a very specific way. And I hope that you walk away with an understanding of that today. So if you are in either of those two buckets, this is a perfect place for you. This is going to be super quick. I hate things where it's like, here's 72 minutes about me and 12 seconds about what I'm trying to talk about. So hi, nice to meet you. My name is Lauren Armstrong. I am a human design business consultant certified through the International Human Design School. Yes, I went to school for this stuff. I'm obsessed with it. If you know anything about human design and you're watching this just kind of as a refresher or something that you want to see if you can share it with your friends and you want to know my design, I'm a 5/1 self-projected projector. And I'm just like really obsessed with the system. It is the love of my life. I'm also a co-author in a book called Stop Overworking, Start Overflowing. And it's 25 authors who all talk about how human design has impacted our lives. So if you want to grab that, go ahead. It's on Amazon. Enjoy. So next, we're going to go into, I'm going to break down human design in a way that I really wish I understood when I first set out to build my business. And let's dive in. Human design is the science of differentiation. And yes, it's a science. It's not like a fluffy, esoteric kind of thing, although it's often talked about in that way. Once you get into the school, like, I'm not saying you need to go to the school, but like once I got into the school, I was recognizing, oh, this goes so deep. Everything is mechanics, it's science, it's the way that things work within our body and within our system. So it's a system that combines ancient systems and modern science to give you how you're energetically wired to interact with the world around you. There are over 2 billion configurations within human design, so no two charts are exactly alike. And the system combines astrology, astronomy, the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, the chakra system, as well as quantum mechanics, biochemistry, and genetics. It's so freaking cool to see the way that this all plays out. So what human design is and what it isn't. So I get this question a lot about belief systems. So it doesn't matter where you stand on God. It doesn't matter what you believe in, what you don't believe in. Human design is not a belief system. It's not a psychic reading. It's not going to tell you like, this is what you should do. It's not a personality assessment. And the reason I say that it's not a personality assessment is because personality assessments are usually based on you answering with your logic mind a series of questions of what you believe about yourself, right? It's like, okay, well, am I to this? Or in this situation, I would normally do this, right? It's based on behaviors, but we're answering it with our conscious mind, not our unconscious energy, right? So our conscious mind is only 5 to 6% of our brain. The rest of it is unconscious. So what human design does is it incorporates the energetics, which is in the subconscious body and system. And that's why it's so powerful to look at what our human design is, like what we were actually born to do, not what we've been trained or conditioned to be. It's not a disempowering box if we put ourselves in. I know with any sort of like typing system, there is a tendency to use this information against ourselves. And that is the last thing that I want to do. Just if you ever hear yourself saying, I can't do this because I'm a insert human design thing, like that's not the place that we're coming from. It is this box that we actually get to stand on top of and be like, oh, I see the world in this way. And this is how I'm going to make my life and the lives around me better by leveraging my design. I use the phrase leveraging my design often. I have a program called Leverage. You aren't going to hear about it here, but if you watch future trainings, you can learn all about it. So what human design is, it tells us how we are energetically wired to interact with the world around us. It tells us gosh, how we are here to market. It tells us what our soul's job description is on this planet. It tells us what our energetic blueprint is. It's a map on how to best use our energy. It's an experiment. So oftentimes you'll hear human design, people that in the human design space, like, oh, how long have you been in your experiment? Because it's not this like doctrine that you follow and you like have to do these things like, and it's like going to work no matter what. Like it's an experiment. It's a lived experiment. It's life. It's living your life in the way that you're designed to live your life. How long have you been trying that? How long have you been doing that? Is essentially what the human design question is of how long have you been in your experiment? So I've been in my experiment for a couple of years, living my type, my strategy, and my authority, which are all human design terms that we are going to get into now. So let's move on. If you have questions or if that doesn't make sense to you, like, of course, let me know. But it's how we're energetically wired to interact with the world around us, how we be, and what works best for us and what doesn't work best for us, which is so powerful because when we can release what doesn't work for our energy type, for our energy centers, for energy functions, for like all of the things, when we get to release what doesn't work, we get to step more into who we are. We get to decondition from all of the BS that we've taken on throughout this lifetime and live more authentically to ourselves. So I often see this in business, right? We're operating from this place of what we think we should do in order to make money, when in reality, the thing that we get to do is be ourselves. And a lot of the times when we're, in this industry, we like are like, wait, what is me and what isn't me? And what human design really gets to do is bring us back to ourselves and show us what is uniquely us. This way of being does not require more time. It's not even more to do. Again, it's getting back to self, which is so cool. It gets our time back because we're not wasting it doing shit that's not going to work. So to find your design. So at this point, if you've never heard of human design, you're like, okay, what do I do now? So there's a whole bunch of sites where you can pull your information. The one that I learned about first, and so it's always the one that I recommend because I know it's accurate, is mybodygraph.com. So if you go to mybodygraph.com and you fill in your name, date, city, state, time, place of birth, it is going to give you your chart, your energetic map of who you are. It is going to ask you for an email address, but in the years that I've had this software, they've never once emailed me. It's just so that you can like log back in and see all the charts that you're going to inevitably pull once you learn a little bit more about human design, yours, your spouse, your family, your moms, like all of the people in your life. A really common question that I get is, what if I don't know my birth time? Great question. If you don't know your birth time, the first thing, ask a parent if they know, if they're around. Oftentimes I hear, well, it's around noon or it's around whatever. Go ahead and put that in and pull up and see what your type is. We're going to be talking about that. And then pull throughout the day. Like you could change the time to be like, okay, well, I think it's around noon, but let me pull 1 o'clock and see what changed. Let me pull 11 o'clock, see what changed. If you want to get a reading done, a professional reading, that a reader can do that for you. There's also an opportunity to call the hospital where you were born and request the extended birth certificate, which sometimes your regular birth certificate won't have the time on it, but the extended one will. My birth certificate has the time on it, so that's what I used. And then another way to find out your birth time is to use a pendulum. So if you've never used a pendulum before, I'm not going to go into that now. Like you could totally YouTube like how to use a pendulum, but ask it if you were born. Like what I do is time. So was I born before noon? And then it'll say yes or no. Was I born before 11? Yes or no. And then start narrowing it down. Was I born before 11:30? Yes or no, right? So you can really find the time that way, just intuitively led. And then the final way that I've heard of people getting a birth time when they weren't sure what time they were born after all of those is working with a Vedic astrologer to work backwards. They're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about what's happened in your life, and they can actually work backwards to find your exact time of birth. I've never had a client do that of mine, but I know it exists. So in the school, they talk about this often. So that would be the final way to find out what time you were born. So then obviously country and city is on there as well. So once you have your birth time, you're going to go ahead and pull your chart. So your chart is going to look something like this. So it looks a little bit like a science experiment, a medical chart, a preschool drawing assignment. I don't know, a whole bunch of different things. I don't know who picked the colors of this, because like yellow and green and brown and red and black, like none of it is aesthetically pleasing at all. But it doesn't matter. Like, this is how you're energetically wired, and it all means something. Everything that you're seeing on the screen is represented by something in your life that like means something. So what we're going to talk about a little bit today is your type, but I just want you to get an understanding of, okay, how do I pull my chart? This is how I pull it. What is human design and why it's important? So I'm on the talking body graph, or on the my body graph side, one of the two. So if you're going to select strategy and authority, you're going to see one of 5 words here. So as you see here, it says projector with self-projected authority. So you're looking for one of 5 words. You are either a projector like me, a generator, a manifesting generator, a manifester, or a reflector. One of those 5 words is going to be here. And then with, see this, authority is your decision-making strategy. So instead of looking to the outside world being like, what should I do? We get to really take back ownership and sovereignty of, I know what's best for me, and my intuition is going to lead me, and my body is speaking to me. Right? Like that subconscious, that your energy system is speaking to you on what is correct for you, what is the best next step for you. And it's not always what we want it to be. Already going down a rabbit hole. I can feel myself doing it. So I'm just going to come on back. But if you go to my body graphs, this tab, it's going to go like type, and then it'll say projector, reflector, manifesting generator, or generator. One of those 5 words will be on there as well. So you can kind of toggle in between these two if you're kind of confused on which one is your type. So that is how you find your type, and your chart is going to come like this. So our chart, all of these shapes represent functions within the body. So your inspiration function, your conceptualization function, your communication function, your identity function, your willpower function, your emotional function, your life force energy function, your instinctive knowing and natural instincts function, your intuition, and your drive, ambition, adrenaline, and stress function. So you don't need to know all of this, but I'm just showing and representing that everything in your design means something. And whether it's colored in or not represents the amount of energy that you have in that space. But just for now, we're skimming the surface, the very top level of those 2 billion configurations. We're looking at type. So next, I just really want to, like, before I go into all of the types and play with that, briefly, before I give you an opportunity to just like grab your mini course on your specific type and how you get into alignment, buzzword, for each of those types, especially within business as an entrepreneur, I want to talk about why human design is so important, especially right now. So what I found is that I wasn't sharing this as broadly, and I don't know why I was like keeping it a secret, but yes, human design is how we're energetically wired to interact with the world around us. How many times am I going to say this in this training? Like 12. It could be a drinking game by now, right? And that's so important for somebody who's an entrepreneur who's looking to live in alignment and authentically as themselves, and all of those great things that we want to do in business. And there's an even bigger thing at play here. And what that really looks like is, in the human design system, we look at the world as it's moving through cycles. So the world is moving through 200-year cycles. And for the past almost 200 years, we've been in what we in the human design community call the cycle of planning. So the cycle of planning is going to be ending in 2027. The cycle of planning is all about bargains. It's all about the collective. It's all about the tribe. It's all about us buying into something that supports us as a whole. It's infrastructure, it's the financial system, it's the education system, it's the corporate system, right? Like you agree to give your life to work for a company who's going to pay you money to pay your like into your 401k or your pension or whatever, and then like you retire and keep getting paid. It's like this collective system. And so I just want you to notice at all of those systems, what's happening to them? What's happening in the systems around us? They're all crumbling. You can see it. You can feel it. These collective agreements are all kind of disintegrating. And it's this frequency in the background that's shifting and will continue to shift as we move closer and closer to 2027, when this cycle of planning is complete and we move in to the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So I want to talk about this because this is why it's so important right now. And one of my missions is to help people step into their own genius and what they're designed to do before 2027, because business is not going to work the same way as it has in the past. You might even be noticing that now in your own business. Things that used to work aren't working anymore. And that's because we're moving into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. Of the sleeping phoenix is all about individualization. It's all about individual empowerment. It's about what each person brings to the table. Do you see, or a science of differentiation, which is essentially showing us all how we're unique and different, can be so powerful in the cross of the sleeping phoenix, starting in 2027. So moving from the cycle of planning, which is all about the tribe. We're doing things for the good of everyone. We're buying into systems and collectives. It's like bargaining power, right? It's like, have you been in recently a system where something was promised to you, but it wasn't quite fully delivered? If you're a business owner, I know you're agreeing with this, right? We're moving more into individual empowerment, like what's good for each individual person. And the way that we step further into that as business owners is we run our stuff based on what feels good for us, based on what is correct for us, based on our type, which we talked a little bit about, either projector, reflector, manifestor, manifesting generator, or a generator. And I have many classes right below this for each of those, so you can go watch yours. I won't waste your time on all of the types, but your type, your strategy, each of those associated types have a strategy, a way of moving through the world, how opportunities come to you. And then your authority, which is what is correct for you, your decision-making strategy, what comes next, versus buying into this, well, everybody who owns a business needs to go through these three programs, and this is what you need, and this is what you do, and it worked for them. Why is it working for you? It's a mindset issue. What if it's not? What if there's nothing wrong with you? What did your body just do when I said that? Is it a relief? Is it a breath of fresh air? Is there an inner knowing that something in this speaks to you? I invite you to explore that. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. My goal really right now for human design is to share with people how they're really uniquely wired, how they're brilliant, how we can stop doing things that are no longer in alignment for us, that don't feel good, and step into what is correct for us. Because that is where alignment is. So of the 5 types, I just kind of want to break down an example of the 5 types. So projectors, you are here to be leaders and guides. I want to give you some human examples of that. We have Nelson Mandela, John Bon Jovi, Barack Obama, Gary Vee. I love to give this one as an example. So projectors are, you'll learn about it more in the course, but in the mini courses available to you. But projectors are really here to lead and guide. We're not here to do. We're here to be, not to do. We're here to see, not to do, right? So I love to give the example of Gary Vee from a business perspective, because really what he's doing, he talks about hustle, 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 right? But in reality, what is he really doing? He's showing up, he's living his life, and his team is videotaping him. He's meant to be visible, he's meant to be seen. And those who resonate with his message, because he's not for everyone, those who resonate with him will invite him to lead them and guide them. So that's kind of the example, the really brief overview of what a projector is here to do in business. As a generator, you are here to master step-by-step systems. We think about Einstein, Dolly Parton, Oprah Winfrey. I love to give the example of James Wedmore because that's kind of where I come from. He has like launch processes, like step 1, you do this, step 2, you do this, step 3, you do this, right? And he's like brilliant at that. Oprah, brilliant interviewer. Dolly Parton, brilliant songwriter, musician. Einstein, you think of the theory of relativity, you think of Einstein, right? So like, when you think of the thing and you think of the person, that's very generator energy. You're here to master something. So if you're a generator, what are you here to master? And we're going to go into that in the generator mini course. As a manifester, you are here to initiate. You're here to delegate. We think of Bruce Springsteen, Maya Angelou, Marie Forleo, and Scott Olford. Like they're here to initiate. They're here to get things started. Like, right, Marie Forleo's tagline is "Everything is figure outable." Okay. She's going to make it happen. She's going to initiate. You're not here to wait. And we'll go into that further in the mini course. I'm giving an example of all different types of people for all type, right? Like you see musicians across the board, you see entrepreneurs across the board, you see, leaders of the free world across the board. You don't have to be a certain type to do something. This is not a box we put ourselves in. It's the way in which we do the thing. The way in which we be the thing. Manifesting generators. So manifesting generators are multi-passionate and efficient. I love to give the example of Gwyneth Paltrow and Chalene Johnson here because I think it's really tangible. Manifesting generators are the and people of the world. They're I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this. So Chalene Johnson has an Instagram company with her son Brock. She also does Pio. She's also and right? Like she has a lot of ands. Gwyneth Paltrow, she has Goop and she has a Netflix special and she is an actress and. You're multi-passionate, super efficient. You're not meant to do things in a step-by-step way like generators are. You follow the flow of energy. And we'll talk more about that in your manifesting generator mini class. Reflectors. Reflectors are 1% of the population. So I'll go back and share the rest of them. Projectors are about 20%. Generators and manifesting generators make up about 70%. Manifestors are around 9%, and reflectors are 1%. So reflectors or evaluators, they're really here to reflect back to us, to evaluate what's working, what's not working. The way they see the world is very unique. They desire a lot of time in nature to decompress. Ask a reflector how they see the world. And so if you are a reflector and you see the world in a really unique way, you might not even know that. It's like a fish that's in water and doesn't know it. What do people ask you about? What groups are you invited into? Take a look at that. And we'll go into that into the reflector masterclass, mini class, whatever. So giving you an example of what the way that shows up in real life, in tangible, practical, leverageable examples. And then I just want to play with like getting an alignment before I give you the option to go to your classes on your specific type is getting an alignment. Like I have heard that for years before I learned what human design was. And I was like, I am in alignment. I like what I'm doing. I'm excited about what I'm doing. But there's a whole different layer to it when you look at your human design. Because like I said, your human design is based on your type, your strategy, and your authority. So when you're in alignment based on your type, you're going to feel a certain way in your body. So when you're out of alignment, you're going to feel a certain way in your body. And I love to look at this from the human design school. They taught us in this way that I think resonates so clearly and deeply with me as like a signal. It's a frequency signal, a radio dial. When you have a clear signal as a projector, you're going to feel a deep feeling of success. What does that success feel like in your body? When you're out of alignment, when you're running static, You're not following your type, your strategy, and your authority, and you're being in a way that's more generator like or more manifesting generator like, right? That's correct for them, but it isn't for you. You're going to feel bitter. Bitter, in the modern day language, I love to use the words annoyed. I'm so annoyed. They're doing so much better than me. I'm so freaking annoyed. I started way before them, or I gave them such great advice and they didn't follow it. I'm so bitter. I'm so annoyed. Resentful is a really common way to word that as well. Where is that? Where do you feel that in your body? What are you doing when you feel that way? These are clues. What if we looked at these signals as signposts? In alignment, out of alignment. Nothing's wrong with either. Nothing's good with either. It's just, oh, I'm noticing what's correct, what's incorrect, what's making the show of my body. For manifestors, same thing, but peace. You are here when you're in alignment. You're going to feel this deep sense of peace. What does peace feel like in your body? What in your business makes you feel peaceful? When you're out of alignment, you're going to feel angry. Anger. Again, signpost. Peace and anger. When you're angry, what's happening when you're feeling anger? How is that a beautiful signpost for you to be like, oh, I'm feeling angry. I get to shift something. It's just your invitation to shift something. All of these are invitations to shift. Frustration. For generators and manifesting generators, when you're out of alignment, you're going to feel frustration. Manifesting generators might also feel a little bit of anger, but primary is frustration. So generators, manifesting generators, what's making you frustrated in your business? Where do you feel that in your body? When's the last time you felt it? And when you're in alignment, you're going to feel this deep sense of satisfaction, waking up with a full tank of gas every day, doing things that are satisfying, and going to bed delightfully exhausted. What brings you satisfaction? Where do you feel that in your body? Or do you forget to eat, sleep, and pee? Because you're just doing the thing that you love to do. And then reflectors, surprise and delight. Oh, where have you felt delighted? Surprised by life, in your business, in your life? Where have you felt this deep sense of disappointment, which is what it looks like when you're out of alignment? Where do you feel that in your body? When was the last time you felt either of those? What in your business is creating the alignment? And what's creating the static energy that's out of alignment? And we get to follow our type, our strategy, and authority to get us here within our businesses and within our lives. So I'm going to stop there and invite you to take your mini class on your individual type. So we're going to talk a little bit about the ways that this shows up in your business for each of the 5 types. And then at the end, there's an invitation to take this further to create and build your offers based on your design and sell them in alignment with your design at the end. And if that feels correct for you, I would love to have you. And if it doesn't, please don't buy it, right? That's the way that this works. Individual sovereignty. I am not here to convince you. I'm here to share excitedly about the work that I'm doing in the world. And if it resonates with you, I'd love to have you. And if not, I hope you learned something life-changing today. Okay, that's all I have. Have a fantastic rest of your day.